there, Chiefs Kingdom. This is Arrowhead TV. And just a little background of what this is, because it's the first video. Is basically, I got sick and tired of the media not showing anything. I mean, the Chiefs just had the biggest comeback in franchise history, and they would rather talk about crap that doesn't even matter. Some rookies that barely even played. The Raiders going for 2 at the end of the game, which, don't get me wrong, it's cool and all, but come on, guys. The Chiefs just had a historic day, and you're barely even referencing it. Somehow Derek Carr won clutch performer over Alex Smith, coming back from 21 points. Like, 17 of them were in the fourth quarter with 13 minutes left in the game. What the fuck? Anyways, I've been thinking about doing this for a while. Finally decided to do it because that kind of just pushed me over the edge. So yeah, that's why we're doing this. Now, what this is going to be is, also sorry, I just, like I said, I haven't heard anything. It's kind of thing that pushed me over the edge, so I kind of finally decided to do it like today, basically. So this is the first episode. So usually these game recaps are going to be much sooner after the actual game, but because I just decided to do it, I'm going to be doing the recap today, which is like Friday. It's Friday night. And then I'm going to do the preview probably sometime tomorrow, which will be the day before the game. So these would be much better scheduled. And then throughout the week or during the off season, I will probably do stuff on this channel also. It's, just newsworthy stuff I feel like I should talk about. It's kind of a podcast type of thing. Anyways, let's get into it. So we had the Chiefs win an amazing game, really. One of the best games of the weekend, probably the best. Like I said, in franchise history, there's never been a comeback like this. And like, who would have thought that the biggest comeback in franchise history would not be by Len Dawson, would not be by the great Joe Montana, and would not be by the all-record holder Trent Green, but it was by the supposed Captain Checkdown himself, Alex Smith. And if you really look at the game that Alex Smith had, it was like a man possessed. I don't even know what to say about it. If he had, mind you, it was like a quarter and a half where most of these numbers came from, which makes it even more insane what he did. Because if he had these numbers but spread out throughout an entire game, instead of just he got them all in a small amount of time. But if he had those numbers but for a full game, instead of just that, which would be slightly more doable, obviously, we'd be talking about 4,000 yards passing, like 30 touchdowns. Alex Smith having those numbers. That's how crazy of a performance that was. But and his clutch, especially the last play. Usually people are like, oh, he's kept him checked down. He's going to let other people do it. He can't do it himself. He took it upon himself to run that final play. He could have easily flicked it over to Ware. Ware probably would have scored, but he was like, no, I'm going to handle this myself. That's what champions do. That's what playmakers do. They want the ball in their hands when the game is on the line. And seeing Alex Smith do this, I just want to say this right now, is he was drafted over Aaron Rodgers first for a reason. He hasn't lived up to that reason, but he had a lot more talent. He has a lot more talent. He had a lot more potential. I think he still does. But up to this point in his career, he's been so afraid to show it. He's been so afraid to be the Alex Smith that he should have been. But on this Sunday, this man right here was the Alex Smith that he should have been. Look at that. Look at old little Leonidas right there with the scream. That's right, this is our house. That's the picture of the game, by the way, even though technically it was after the game. But you know what? Details. So that's Alex Smith. We're going to run down line by line. I'm not going to usually I'd probably go over what happened throughout the game, but we know what happened. The first half, the Chiefs were asleep, much like they usually are week one during the Andy Reid era. But they came alive. They woke the fuck up halfway through the third quarter, and it was on from there. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're not going to reference the other half because there's nothing to really talk about. And I just want to put this out here too, is even if Keenan Allen would have stayed healthy, the same thing would have happened. And people go, well, they lost their best player. That makes no sense. Yes, it does. Because they still had Benjamin, who was also killing us. They still had Woodhead, who was also killing us. And his name is escaping me right now, but their starting running back, their feature back, whatever his fucking name is, was killing us as well. It wasn't just Allen. But suddenly when we woke up, we were able to stop those guys. So, obviously, we weren't getting our butt beat because of Allen. We were getting our butt beat because of us. The old ownage, back when I played football, I had a coach. His name was Coach Reynolds. And he always said one thing when he was basically addressing us, like before a game and stuff, or the practice lead up to the game. The only team that can beat us is ourselves. And that's what we were doing. We weren't trying. But we woke up, we got done. Now, mind you, the 21 points comeback probably wouldn't have happened if we didn't get a couple breaks. I mean, that's just football. I mean, you can't win a championship without getting a few breaks. I mean, Denver got a lot of breaks last year. You can't forget that. So, yeah, it's part of the game. So that's not an excuse either, really. We shouldn't have been down like that. They should have, I heard that, like, Derek Johnson and some of the other leaders, Tom Holly, were like, enough is enough. Let's make our stand. Let's get it done. And then finally they decided to do it. I don't know. But that's what leaders do. And that's one thing I want to take away from this game is it's kind of like what Rocky said in the last Rocky movie. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. And they definitely did that in this game. Now, moving on to the next thing. We got Spencer Ware. I'm not going to talk about West that much because West really wasn't that big of a part of the game. He had a few key catches for first downs, but that's about it. Ware was a monster. His yards from scrimmage were insane. He's a weapon. It seems like Kansas City always finds some talented running back. I don't think we've ever not had an elite running back in my lifetime, basically. I'm a 90s baby, so that gives you any indication. I mean, I wasn't alive before then. I wasn't alive for the horrific 80s where the Chiefs were like the laughingstock of the league, so I can't speak for that. But yeah, I mean, like we've always had Christian Okoye. We've always had Marcus Allen, Kimball Anders, Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, Jamal Charles, and now Spencer Ware. It's like we just grow them on trees. I wish we could do that for quarterbacks. I mean, I like Alex Smith, but he's not our homegrown product to lead the team for many years. I think he still has probably 2, 3, maybe 4 years left in him, but still, I would like a franchise drafted quarterback at some point in time. But that time is not right now because we got a team that can win. So I digress. Yeah, that's Spencer Ware. Enough said. He could easily be the MVP of the game, but I'll touch on that later on in the video, or later on in the the conversation, the podcast, whatever you want to call this. I'll touch on it later. So, as far as the receiving core goes, I'm going to include Travis Kelce and my boy Demetrius Harris, and I say my boy because I actually played with him a little bit senior year in high school. There's a whole story that goes on behind why I say probably, because I didn't actually end up getting to play because of some stuff happened. I missed 2-a-days my senior year. It really sucked. I ended up having to be a team manager because I still wanted to be around the game of football. I love football. I played it since I was able to in junior high. Once I was old enough, we had a team. But I still was with him during all the mini camps and all that. So I know him. I've been in the locker room with him as a fellow player. So that's pretty cool that a guy I know like that I played with, that I've tackled, basically, is on my favorite team. That's really cool. But anyways, once again, I digress. But I'm going to involve them because they're obviously receivers in this offense. Let's be honest, they're wide receivers that line up on the line and block sometimes. I mean, receivers block sometimes too, even on running plays. So, what are you going to do? So yeah, Demetrius Harris, or as we like to call him Meech, which is his nickname. He made a key reception in the game. It wasn't too big, but he's our number 2 tight end, so you're not expecting too huge. But he did have a clutch reception, and has nothing to do with the receiving core. But he made a huge hit on special teams. Oh my gosh! If you can go back and look at it, oh boy, that was a hit. He made that guy cry for his mama. Anyways, then we got Travis Kelce. And Travis Kelce had some really, really, really good catches, some clutch ones. He had one in overtime that was just, it was either overtime or the last drive of the fourth quarter. I don't remember which one off the top of my head. Like I said, it's Friday. That happened last Sunday. It's almost been a whole 7-day week. But yeah, I do remember the catch, and it was a beauty right on the sideline. There is some question whether he pushed off or not, but even regardless, it was a great catch. He's learning how to catch like high instead of just, doing his own thing low, which is going to help Alex Smith out a lot, especially with how much he loves his tight ends. I think that's really going to help our offense out. As far as wide receivers, Albert Wilson got in a little bit, not much. He didn't really do a whole lot. He had a couple catches. Conley looked good. He did have one drop, but it was a really, really tough catch, so I can't really fault the kid on that. So he looks promising as a number 2 receiver, though. And then we have Jeremy Maclin, who just did Jeremy Maclin things. He did get a concussion toward the end of the game, but he went through concussion protocol. Turns out he did not have a concussion. He came back just fine. So he'll be playing this week. So don't worry about Jeremy. He's good. Moving on. So that's the receivers. And obviously Spencer Ware was a monster in the receiving game as well. So we got to include him in there, of course. So we go to the offensive line. And boy, did they struggle in the first half. But when they woke up with the rest of the team, they were exactly what we thought they would be. They were getting the job done. Alex Smith had a pocket to work with. As long as that's the norm, and the first half is not the norm, and was just they were just, whatever, a figment of our imagination, I guess, then Alex Smith will be having all kinds of time. And when Charles comes back, and with Ware now, they're going to have all kinds of room. So, good job on that. Eric Fisher, highlight Eric Fisher here. Pro Football Focus rated him as far as week 1 goes at least, he was the best left tackle in the National Football League. So yeah, it seems like Chiefs management made the right call by giving him his payday. He looked great. I mean, he's not even because they paid him, so he's not even, playing for a contract, and he's still playing at this high level. So that's really good. That's really, really good. Mitchell Schwartz did Mitchell Schwartz things once stuff started getting rolling. LDT, I think he was like the 10th ranked in the league, right guards. So it's really impressive, especially for a guy like him. The only, of course, Mitch Morse is Mitch Morse. He did a solid job. The only complaint I really have is Anger, the rookie. He looked good on some plays, and then he looked completely atrocious on other plays. Probably just rookie growing pains. He's definitely the weak point of the line, though. So I would keep an eye on him. I heard that both guards might not even be playing this weekend. So that will have to be followed in my next video, probably tomorrow, on the preview video. But just something to keep in mind. So that's pretty much the... Oh, and then Hill. I want to talk about Hill. Hill had a very, very good catch. One of the touchdowns was a little screen play. It was amazing because, he caught it, and then LDT came over and cleaned up the trash, and it pretty much created, a lane where you had, Chiefs blockers, but then a little bit further you had San Diego defensive backs. And once the block happened, Hill was kind of falling behind LDT, because he's the lead blocker, but once he cleaned up the trash and he saw that lane, he hit the Jets. And when he hit the Jets, everybody else on the field, I shit you not, seemed like they were going in slow motion compared to Hill. Like, Hill was like, pew, but they looked like they were going like 0.5 miles an hour. Like, it was insane. That kid's got speed. He's going to be a weapon. I mean, he's already been a weapon. Like, he just, he scored a very valuable touchdown in the comeback. But yeah, he's definitely going to be a steal for us. I see it. And I'll get more about him as far as special teams when I cover that part. And that's the offense. Now we go to the defense. Just like the offensive line, they struggled during the first half. But in the second half, Poe still kind of struggled. He started doing a little bit better. At least he didn't get pushed back. It seemed like he kind of just stood pat. But we all know Poe's more capable than that. I don't know if he was just having an off day or what. Hopefully he'll show up to play next week. So that's Poe. Really, the entire defensive line was like that. Chris Jones, though, when Chris Jones came in, he got a few hurries. We need to get that kid more playing time. He is good. He was good against the run, too, as far as I could see. Don't have much to say about Bailey, really. He was Bailey, I guess. He was there. Anyways, so we go to the linebackers. We're going to take a step back, go to the linebackers. Derek Johnson in the first half seemed to overshoot a lot. And I'm starting to think the reason why Zombo has been a starter is because he's been like a role player. Like, he just sits back, and if DJ does guess wrong on something or takes a wrong angle, he's kind of there to clean up the mess. And that allows DJ to make the plays that he does. It's not a bad thing. But no one's perfect. DJ's not going to be right all the time. Just like in this game he wasn't. But something March, that Justin March did, is he was kind of doing the same thing. So whenever they both guessed wrong, there was nobody back there to tackle the running back. So the running backs were already like on the third level. It was like they went from first level to third level. There was no second. There was no second level. And then the defensive backs started missing tackles early on in the game. And that's why we're having so much trouble against the run game. But I think what happened was March started realizing, okay, it's my job. This is my job. He started doing what Maga usually does. And then DJ started guessing right. And then like that's whenever later in the game they suddenly couldn't run the ball against us really anymore. So that's what that. As far as the outside linebackers, Tamba Hawley kind of looked a little rusty, is to be expected. He's older now. He's not playing as much. And it's not just during the game. He hasn't been playing as much in camp and practice either. But toward the end of the game, I mean, he was fresh because he was still fresh. He got some good hurries. He didn't get any sacks, but he did get close a few times. He did some hurries. He's still Tamba Hawley. Nothing to worry about there. He's not going to play as much, but when he is on the field, Tamba Hawley still does Tamba Hawley things. He's still an elite pass rusher. So I wouldn't worry so much there. And I think his judo that he does or whatever it is, martial arts he does, really helps with his hands also. So like age isn't affect him as much because he's still really good. Like whenever he engages, he's really tough for linemen to get a hold of because his hand work is so good and he's so relentless. And then as far as Zombo goes, I think there's the reason why we let go of Russell so we could bring in Moses. I couldn't think of his name there for a second. Desmond Moses. It's because Moses is a lot better at the pass rush than Zombo, and we need that obviously for our defense. So Zombo's about to take a seat on the bench, basically, I'm pretty sure. And Moses is going to be plugged in to rotate with Tamba Hawley. But yeah, Zombo played like trash. I'm sorry. He didn't have any really good shining qualities. He messed up in the run defense. He was a complete and utter waste as far as, pass rush goes. I guess he was average in, in the secondary when he was defending that way. I guess. I don't know. But yeah, as far as Ford goes, a lot of people hate on Ford. And I'm not talking about the trucks. I'm talking about D Ford. And he did okay. I mean, against the run, he was all right against the run. He's definitely improved, Against the pass, I would actually say was his strongest suit throughout the game. Although he did have one blown coverage that resulted in a touchdown. I will say that, but you can't expect a linebacker to be perfect in coverage every day, every drive, every play. I mean, it's not their job, but it's still something you can work on. But I think that was other than that one play, I think that was probably his best showing as far as, consistently throughout the whole game goes. But he did get a lot of pressures, just like kind of Holly, but he was full-time on that side. And Ford was. He got a lot of pressures. He did pretty good, I would say. I didn't have really any complaints. Sorry, my nose itches. He really didn't have any complaints, or I didn't have any complaints really with him as far as that goes. I would like to see him do better, but I'd say he's above average most of the game. He got close to Phillip Rivers a few times. Of course, Rivers just stepped up in the pocket when he did, but not every quarterback is a Phillip Rivers. So, but then he even got to Phillip Rivers late in the game. Clutch sack. It stopped Phillip Rivers' I'm not gonna say comeback bid, but avoiding overtime guaranteed win bid. It stopped it before it got started. That was, man, my nose is itchy. That was a constant. That was huge. That was so huge. I can't even say how huge that was. I sound like Donald Trump right now. I'm sorry about that. I'm sure there's some people that probably triggered. Sorry. but yeah, it was huge. I don't know how else to say it. That was a big play. D Ford probably made the most clutch defensive play of the game, just like he did last time we played the Chargers. Hey, D Ford. Here, right here. Keep it up. All right? And get more sacks than just one. Please and thank you. Now we move on to the secondary, and we got to start from Marcus Peters. Look, man, I don't care. I really don't care if you want to put your fist in the air and join in on all the hoopla of the protests and all that. But when the whistle blows and the game starts, you need to be focused on football. That is your job. You were not in the first half. And then you start getting frustrated, and you start trying to rip off Keenan Allen's helmet like an idiot. And Andy Reid had to pull you out of the game. Now, in the second half, when you calm down, you started playing like yourself again, more or less. Need more of that. We need that Marcus Peters to show up. That's all I got to say about Marcus Peters. He did almost have an interception late in the game, though. It was like this close to being an interception. So, once again, if everyone else, assuming the second half is the real us and not the first half, there shouldn't really be anything to worry about with Marcus. I think he just had his head somewhere else because of the protests and everything that were going on. But knowing him and how seriously he takes his craft, I'm sure he's going to go back to the drawing board, and that's not going to be the case, moving forward. He's going to fix that. Lesson learned probably. If I'm a betting man, it's a lesson learned kind of deal. As far as gains, he had a couple slip-ups, but, he's just now coming back from ACL injury. So, and he only had like a couple games of starting before that. Or one game? Was it one game? Yeah, I think he got hurt in the Houston game, didn't he? No? That was the next game. I don't remember. But, yeah, he played well. He's only going to get better. As far as Nelson goes, I think he did really good in the nickel. He was probably him and Ron Parker were probably the two best defensive backs of the day. So kudos to that kid right there. As I just said, Ron Parker, he did Ron Parker things. There's a reason why we made sure he stayed a Chief. He's a good safety. He's pretty decent at corner too. I'd almost rather us have him at corner, but I guess we don't have another safety to enable that really. So, yeah, that is what it is. But, yeah, Ron Parker did a good job. Eric Berry looked rusty, which is to be expected. He hasn't really played. I feel like he picked it up toward the end, just like a lot of the other guys. So, I think he should be better this coming week. Eric Berry's a professional. He's going to get it figured out relatively quickly. And, really, that's the secondary. DJ White did come in when, like I said, when Peters was kind of having a little hissy fits. They replaced him with White, and White came in, and I think he did a good job in limited action. I'm really impressed with him. I see why we felt good about letting Russell go, because White looks good. White looks like he was the corner we thought Russell was going to be, basically. So, it still sucks to lose a third-round pick that early, but it is what it is. Then we go to special teams. There's really no reason to talk about Colquitt. No reason at all, because he's Dustin Colquitt. You know what you got with him. Yeah, his leg doesn't age, basically. That's that. Cairo Santos, we know he has a strong leg. He did a good job. He didn't miss any. But he got close to missing a few. You know, he made a couple of those extra points a little bit too gamey, if you ask me. It might have. I mean, Arrowhead's known for getting a draft around the field goals. You know, that comes in over the stadium and causes havoc. So that might have just been him compensating for that, and it might have just been like there was no doubt for him the entire time. It was just supposed to go in that way. But still, you know, it was nail biter, kind of extra points right there. And then, you know, just as naked eye, it looked like he almost missed a few of them. Then kick returns, we got Niall Davis on kickoff. He didn't get a chance. It went over his head every single time. But, you know, we've seen what he can do on kickoffs at least. I'm not worried about him. I mean, really running the ball, I'm not worried about him either because he's proven he's good at it. I'm just worried about him holding on to the football while he's doing it. And he might have worked on it in the offseason, and it might not be an issue for him anymore, but I don't know if I'm willing to take that chance. I'm sure a lot of you guys aren't. And then we have punt return with Hill. And he's reminding me more and more of the great X Factor, Dante Hall, the human joystick. He might be the human joystick 2.0 because he had some of the most exciting 10, 15-yard punt returns I've ever seen. He's good. He's going to be really good. He's got that speed. He's got that shiftiness. He's going to be good as a returner and as a weapon on offense. He's a steal. I don't even know what else to say about it. He was like 1 or 2 blocks away from breaking it wide open. So, not too worried about Tyreek Hill. And, yeah, that's pretty much the team. Now to go over, you know, game balls. Obviously, you can see the pick, you know. You can see the pick that I have up. Alex Smith is my MVP. I know I said Spencer Ware could be, but, Alex Smith had, like, what was it? It was like 300-something passing yards. On touchdowns, I'm counting his rushing touchdown because running is part of his game, so it counts. So he had 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception, which wasn't even his fault. That was just a great play by Vereen. Like, Macklin kind of caught it, but then it kind of bounced against his chest a little bit, but Vereen was so close in the Macklin's wheelhouse that he had his arms in there as well, and he ended up coming up with it. Like, that wasn't Macklin's fault. It wasn't Smith's fault. It was just great defense by Vereen. So that wasn't even a bad interception. It wasn't Alex's fault. It kind of just is what it is. What else? So, yeah, Alex Smith. Bam. MVP of the game. Breakout guy of the game would Hill. I want to say Ware, but Ware did it last year, so it wouldn't be him. Yeah, it has to be Hill. Hill came up clutch. And, this was a nail-biter. I was listening to the radio because I was at work. I had to work the weekend, so I had my app. I was listening to Mitch Holthus call it, and I got up, jumped, and walked out of the office for a few minutes. Everyone was like, what the heck, when it happened. It was a crazy game. Crazy game. And defensive MVP, giving it to D Ford. There's no one who played well enough throughout the entire game or any constant span to just give it that way, but Ford came up clutch, and he had a few hurries. So we're going to give that to Ford. And, be looking out tomorrow because, well, obviously, I don't even have any subscribers yet on this channel. So you might not even be watching this. So when you're watching this, it might already be up. But we'll be having a preview game for the Houston game. And we'll be going over that. We'll go over the Chiefs' injury report, what I think the keys to victory will be. You know, the whole 9 yards you would expect in a preview kind of video. And also, I plan on doing halftime reactions and a post-game, which is basically what this is. It'll be this again, but for the Houston game, and much sooner after the game is played. If it's an emotional game, either good or bad, I might need a little bit before I can go recording to, let the juices settle. But if it's like a blowout or something, one way or the other, it'll probably be like right away. So, enough interjection. Thank you for watching. And until next time, Chiefs Kingdom, this has been Arrowhead TV.